So here for another Durham Lords Coaches Series, we have women's basketball head coach Heather Lafontaine with us. Like the last few series we've done, we have a set list of questions that we've pulled. These are kind of the typical questions that we get when we're talking to interested recruits or at student fairs and things like that. So we're going to work our way through these. Heather, are you good to go?
I'm good to go.
Okay, perfect. So first question we have comes up quite often. It's just kind of the general question we get asked, and it's what a typical week would be like with your team, say in season. So starting from Monday to say you guys might have a game on the Saturday or Sunday.
Okay. A typical week, again, it depends when we're playing, because sometimes we do play midweek. We do play home games on Tuesdays and things like that. But a typical week, let's say we're playing on the Friday night, would look like a Monday practice of a couple of hours, Tuesday practice again. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we'd be practicing usually about 2 hours an evening. Now, we also share the gym with 3 other teams. So obviously there's time constraints. So we work around different times. So for example, if Monday we're practicing 5 to 7, sometimes usually Tuesday nights for us is usually a 9 to 10:30 practice. Wednesdays typically would be 7 to 9. So you can see that the times vary, but they're all in the evenings. Now, everyone's required to be at practice. The only time you wouldn't be at a practice is if you're in class. We've noticed that over the last number of years that more and more classes run into the evenings. So sometimes that creates a little bit of a conflict as far as practice goes. If we were going to play on the Friday night, then if we were at home, game would start at 6 o'clock, followed by the men's game at 8. So everybody would have to be there and be ready to go by about 4:45. Again, if you need any taping or anything like that, whether it's practice or whether it's game, if you need to be taped, you need to do that prior to practice or prior to coming to warm up for a game. If we are going to be away, it would depend on where we're going, what time we would have to leave. We typically travel by bus. If we're going to places that are a little bit further away, we travel with the men. So we all pile on the bus and off we go. So again, that's what a week would look like.
Okay, zeroing in a little bit more from there for some more specifics that people might ask. What would a practice with your team typically look like? So from the time that the athletes might be coming and getting dressed or dealing with any athletic therapy all the way to the end when they're leaving the gym.
Perfect. So if someone's being taped, we're pretty fortunate that we have an area really close to the gym where everybody can be taped. So, and over the years, our trainers have been really good to get there half an hour beforehand to make sure anybody that needs to be taped can be done. Then we would come into the gym, and then usually, let's say we're going to start at 7 o'clock. So usually we're waiting for practice to end. So if it's the men's basketball team, we would be standing out waiting for them to end and before we would come in. And of course, during that period of time, that's a period of time where, players will come and, will be complaining about classes or talking about their weekends or whatever it happens to be, but normal everyday things that you would be talking about if you were anywhere from 18 to 22. So that's our opportunity just to get to know each other, not talking about basketball, but talking about all those other things. Practice will begin. We usually do a warm up that just gets people moving, after which we would do a stretch. The stretching usually lasts, so that usually lasts about 10-15 minutes by the time we do the quick warm up and then the stretching. For us, depending on where we are in the season and when we've just played, our next drills are usually drills that are going to require a lot of running and moving. And to be honest, I'm a big believer in if you're going to be successful in this game, that you need to be able to run. So we do a lot of drills that require running, passing, moving. So that's the way that would look. Obviously, we're going to incorporate some shooting into our practice. We're going to incorporate maybe a few other drills to work on whatever it is that we're doing, whether we're running out of a high screen and roll, what are we doing on offense, what are we doing on defense. Then we would obviously work on whatever sets we're running or our offense or defensive sets. typically at the end of practice, we'll be playing some kind of a game. So whether it's a modified game or whether it's really just 5-on-5 to get some playing in. And then we usually would finish with some kind of a drill just to kind of calm everybody down, and maybe a shooting drill or something like that. And then a little bit of time for a cool down. So that's the way that the couple hours would unfold.
Hi, Emily. Thanks for joining us. We're just working through some questions here. These are kind of the standard questions, so hopefully we can check most of the boxes. And if you have anything to ask at the end, we'll open it up then for you as well.
Hi, Emily.
Hi there. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Good, good.
How's Lindsay?
It's not so bad.
How about, have you been getting those really bad? Like I heard a lot of people that are a little bit further north of us are getting a lot of rain and a lot of thunderstorms.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've had a lot of rain and thunderstorms lately.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. But it's not so bad.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I was trying to fill out some of the forms, but it's only a PDF. Do I need to print it off and like fill it out, like handwrite it, or like I wasn't really sure. I was kind of confused.
You know what, if you need to fill it out and print it out, that's fine. Because then when you come into the school, we just submit everything to athletic therapy. So they're right in the school, and they're the ones that are going to get all that information. So if you just have it all ready to go when you come in on that first day, we'll just get everything over to athletic therapy.
Okay, awesome. That sounds good.
Perfect.
And that kind of leads right into the next question on our list too. So that worked out well. Talking about athletic therapy, can you touch on a little bit in terms of you have the 2 embedded student trainers with you throughout the entire season? That's at practices, they go on the road with you, the benefits of that, and then anything that needs to get escalated, and how Saul and Allison kind of are such a benefit to your team as well.
That's true, though. We do have our therapists. So we usually have one girl. We've had girls typically. So we usually have one girl that's a 4th-year kin student from OT that's working on potentially moving into that area. And then our other therapist is usually someone who's from Sheridan College, who's in there doing a co-op placement to finish up as athletic therapist. So little bit of, as far as knowledge goes, obviously the Sheridan girl is a little bit more, has a little more experience. Let's put it that way. So yeah, they're at practice, and if anybody needs to be taped or looked after, that's something that they do. If it looks like it's a more serious injury, then they'll be referred to the athletic therapy department, and that'll be Saul or Allison. And if necessary, they'll help them on rehab, or, if we're at that point with a serious injury, they'll help them with rehab. So it's wonderful to have them on board.
Shifting to talk a little bit about the facilities, we have a lot of people ask what everything that's going on at the campus and that. So my background is our home gymnasium. It's had a little bit of an update since we've last played in there. Can you talk a little bit about the gym, as well as your team rooms and any of the other facilities you think athletes on your team take advantage of in terms of the maybe the academic room or the varsity training room, anything like that?
We're very fortunate. Our gym is one of the best gyms that you're going to go into. I mean, we have a lot of space around the gym. Some of the schools that we'll go into don't have that kind of space, whereas we have a lot of room on the end lines, room on the sidelines, which, as a player is always something that if you're going full speed in a layup, you don't want to be running into a wall. So we're pretty lucky that our gym, we've got a really nice facility to play in. We also have a team room where players can go at any time of the day. Sometimes people will go in there and just have a little snooze. Sometimes they'll go, we usually have a couch or something in there that, you can sit and do some homework if you want, or just have a little snooze, or just if you just want to sit for a few minutes. And I know a lot of the players find it really handy, especially in the winter, because you can come in and all your stuff is there. You can leave your coat. You don't have to worry about things. And I know players really like that. The other piece on all that is Sometimes socially, they just like the opportunity to go in there. Everybody, a couple of people have spares at 1 o'clock. They can go in and just shoot the breeze for a little while in the team room. We have a television available to us, so we can watch tape in there. It's a real plus to have, and we're very fortunate. Also, the school itself has a study hall for athletes, so that if you do want to sit at a desk and you do want to just do work, or you're working with somebody on a project, you have a place to go, and again, you have a place to study and do your work. So we're fortunate that we do have a lot of facilities at close at hand.
Shifting from some of the athletic questions and asking something more student-based, something that comes up quite a bit is how students might deal with academic conflicts. So your team might travel, you guys might head to Ottawa, so that means you might be leaving on a Friday, and someone might have to miss class, or if you qualify for the OCAA championships, that goes over a number of days, so they're going to miss some time. Just how do student athletes deal with academic conflicts at Durham?
We have a specific form that athletes fill out and give to the professor. So it tells the professor right off the top that, you're a member of the women's basketball team. And, there are going to be some times where you may have to miss class because you're on the road or you have a game. Certainly not for practice, but for anything else where we don't want people missing games, obviously. If we're traveling, you need to be on the bus. So those are things that you give to your professor. Now, there's a little bit of bonus on you too, because you can't hand something like that to a professor that's never seen you because you haven't been in class. So that's a problem. So you have to be in class. We expect people to be good students, to go to class, to do their work. If you run into a problem, we do have help. There is help at Durham College where you can go and see people that will mentor you and help you. As well, even within our team, I'm an ex-high school guidance counselor. So, there are times where we'll sit down and take a look at what you're doing in your program, and hopefully, we can help you out a little bit as far as what you're taking. And I know that couple of my assistant coaches have done some tutoring over the years and helped people finish up their essays and make sure that they, they're grammatically correct or they've done things properly. And then Danny, one of my other assistants, is pretty good in the math science area. So he's helped people out sometimes with their physics and chemistry and things like that. So between the school itself, and then even within our own little group, there's always help available. A, you need to ask for it if you need it. And B, use the resources available to you at the college or even within the team.
And I think you mentioned it too, and I'll just reiterate that communication with the teachers and stuff is such a big part of it. So with sports, you will know the schedule well ahead of time. Hopefully we'll know the winter sports schedule in a couple of weeks here, and teachers can be notified about those type of things well in advance, not necessarily like a day or two before you're leaving. Switching over to talk about recruits. So this could be for someone that's coming to the college out of high school or coming from another institution or from club ball. What is something that recruits can work on, say, for that year before they come to a college, sport specifically?
To me, one of the most important things you can work on is your fundamental skills. So work on your shooting. Your fundamentals is shooting. Don't just fire the ball up at the basket. So get in the gym and learn how to shoot a ball properly. Get in the gym and learn how to play defense properly. So I think fundamentals are critical. And as well as fundamentals, as I mentioned prior, I really believe this is a running game. So you need to be fit. I don't expect people to be doing things like the beat test. I don't think, because the beat test isn't going to put the ball in the basket. But I do like to see people to be fit so they can get up and down the floor, that they can get out on the fast break and they can defend at the other end. So it's important to be in good shape.
And kind of continuing on with that, with the next question here, when you do have the opportunity to go out and actually see someone play, maybe with their high school or with a club team or even with another institution, what are some of the things that you're specifically looking for when you are scouting a player?
You know what? I mean, much as I talk about the fundamentals and running and all that kind of stuff, I'm looking at how you interact with your teammates. Are you a positive influence out there? Are you, do you get along with people? When you're on the bench, are you cheering for your team? What kind of interaction do you have with your coach? Because if you and your coach can't get along, or there's obviously conflict. I mean, sometimes, that can't be helped, but by the same token, I want to know that if you come to us and you come and play with us, that you're going to get along with the people that are on the team. And we're going to make a really good effort for everybody to get along. So that's the kind of thing that I'm looking at.
And then next would be, you've been coaching the team for a number of years now, so you have quite a few under your belt at Durham. Can you maybe pick out one thing that you would say has stood out about your teams, like a consistency through your teams at Durham over the years?
I like to think that we play as a team. That's really important, that that you support each other. Somebody falls on the ground, you pick them up. Somebody misses a shot, you don't get angry at them, because the last time I checked, nobody ever shot the ball to miss. So, if somebody's missed a shot, that's okay. Let's get the next one. Okay. Let's make a defensive stop. Let's get a rebound. And that kind of, camaraderie. I feel that we've been pretty good with that, and it's important, because you're never going to be successful if it's 5 people out there just playing by themselves.
And I can just add to, from my time watching your teams play when I was a student all the way to now working at Durham, one thing that really, I think, stands out about your teams is you keep bringing it up, and that's defense. Your teams are pretty relentless on defense. When you say you like to coach running, well, they're running up and down the court. You do a lot of press, and you're really pressuring other teams' offense into mistakes, and it's enjoyable to watch when all of a sudden that momentum starts to build, and you can see the frustration building on the other teams because of the amount of pressure your teams put on them.
Yeah, the girls have been really good to work hard. I mean, that's sometimes that's not a lot of fun, is playing defense, but again, it's a lot of fun whenever you're making layups at the other end of the floor.
Yeah, I'm always waiting for that, figure out who that one person that's going to start to leak is. They're like, oh, something's happening. I can get away.
Yeah.
So the last question I have on my list is just any final tips you have for a student athlete as they get set to enter college athletics.
I think regardless of what sport you're going to play, you always have to keep in mind and keep it all in perspective, is that you want to have a really positive experience playing your sport, so that when you walk away, you have all the fond memories, not necessarily wins and losses. Obviously, if you win a lot, you can walk away, go, we were great. But to me, the building of friendships with the people on the team, and knowing, all the positive things that have happened. And sometimes that's, some of the trips we've been on, and all the crazy things that happen when you're on a trip and everybody's laughing. And those are all the things that you bring up afterwards. Do you remember when this happened? And not necessarily on the floor, it's all the other stuff. And then part 2 of all that is, remember, at the end of the day, you're coming to college to get an education. So at the end of the day, you're looking to take something or to have an experience in your academic life that can carry over, so that you can get a job and have a positive job experience when you're done. Because after all, when you're all of a sudden you're graduated and you're 22, 23 years old, and regardless of whether, even if you've had this tremendous experience playing your sport, you still have to go out there and get a job. And hopefully, you've taken something at college that's going to help to propel you into the working world.
So that is the end of my list of questions, the one we typically have. At this point, I'll ask Emily here, is there anything maybe we didn't touch on, or as we were talking, did anything spark in terms of a question from your end?
I don't think any questions. I think probably you would have answered everything so far that I would have been thinking about anyways.
Okay, so with that, I will thank you. Thank you, Emily, for joining us. Thank you, Heather, for jumping on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm going to stop the record now.
We'll see you soon, Emily.